Variation. Meaning of variation. Variation means relationship between two quantities or more. If one quantity increases or decreases, it will result in increasing or decreasing of other quantities in the same ratio. The simple representation for variation is, in general, there are three types of variation, which are 1. Direct variation, 2. Inverse variation, 3. Joint variation. Direct variation. Direct variation means relationship between two quantities or more. If one quantity increases, it will result in increasing of other quantities. On the other hand, if one quantity decreases, other quantities will also decrease with the same ratio. For example, profit varies directly as numbers of sales, distance varies directly as time. Definition. Let x and y represent any quantities and y varies directly as x, then y over x equals k or y equals kx, whereas k is variation constant and k does not equal 0. This can be written as y varies x. Y varies x or y equals kx, semicolon, k does not equal 0. Example. Write equations that represent the following variation. Solution. 1. Distances of a car varies directly as car speed. Let s be the distance of a car. V will be the speed of a car. So, s varies v or s equals kv, whereas k is a variation of constant. 2. Salary varies directly as number of products. Let P be the salary. N will be the numbers of products. So P varies N, or P equals Kn, whereas K is a variation constant. Example. From the table, Y vary A. Find A and B. Example. Let Y varies x plus 3 equal y equals 20 if x equals 2. Find the following results. 1. Variation constant. 2. Y value when x equals 12. Solution. 1. From y varies x plus 3 or y equals k x plus 3, semicolon, k is variation constant. Substitute y equals 20, x equals 2. 20 equals k, 2 plus 3. K equals 20 over 5 equals 4. So, variation constant is 4. 2. From y equals k, x plus 3, semicolon, k equals 4. Substitute x equals 12, semicolon, k equals 4. Y equals 4, 12 plus 3. Y equals 60. So, y equals 60 when x equals 12. Example. An appliance retailer had sales numbers of last year 1,200,000 baht, x, and had profit of 360,000 baht, y. Profit varies directly as sales numbers. Find profit of this year and sales number of this year is 1,500,000 baht. Solution. From y varies x or y equals kx, whereas k is variation constant, and k does not equal 0. K equals y over x, when x equals 1,200,000 and y equals 360,000. K equals 360,000 over 1,200,000 equals 3 over 10. From y equals kx equals 3x over 10. Substitute x equals 1,500,000, semicolon. Y equals 3 over 10 times 1,500,000. Y equals 450,000. So profit is equal to 450,000 baht. Inverse variation. Inverse variation means relationship between two quantities or more, and the relationship is in the opposite to each other. If one quantity increases, it will result in decreasing of other quantities. On the other hand, if one quantity decreases, other quantities will increase with the same ratio. For example, time and velocity. Definition. Let x and y represent any quantity, and y varies inversely as x then y equals k over x, whereas k is variation constant and k does not equal 0, which can be represented by symbols as y varies 1 over x, that is, y varies 1 over x, or y equals k over x, or k equals xy, semicolon, when k does not equal 0. Vocabulary. Variation, operate, relationship, vary, substitute, appliance, inverse, completion, directly, definition. Example. Write equations of the following variations. 1. T varies inversely as square root of r. 2. S varies inversely as 1 over p squared. Solution. 1. T varies inversely as square root of r. Represented by t varies 1 over the square root of r, so t equals k over the square root of r. 2. S varies inversely as 1 over p squared. Represented by s varies 1 over p squared, or s varies p squared, so s equals kp squared. Example. Write equations of the following equations. Solution. 1. Gas pressure varies inversely as gas volume. Let P be gas pressure. V will be gas volume. So P varies 1 over V, or P equals K over V, which K is variation constant. 2. Time of travel varies inversely as car speed. Let T be time of travel. V will be car speed. So T varies 1 over V, or T equals K over V when K is variation constant. Example. From the table y varies 1 over x, find the value of A and B. Example, given that A varies inversely as b squared and A equals 2, when B equals the square root of 3, find the following. 1. Variation constant. 2. A when B equals 3. Solution. 1. From A varies 1 over b squared, A equals K over b squared. K equals AB squared equals 2 square root of 3 squared equals 6. So variation constant is 6. 2. From A equals K over B squared when K equals 6. Substitute B equals 3, semicolon, A equals 6 over 3 squared equals 6 over 9. So A equals 2/3. Example. Electric current varies inversely as resistance. Electric current is 22 amps when resistance is 14 ohm. Find electric current when resistance is 11 ohm. Solution. Given that I is the electric current and R is the resistance, I varies 1 over R, or I equals K over R, whereas K is variation constant and K does not equal 0. When I equals 22, R equals 14, 22 equals K over 14. K equals 22 times 14. I equals 22 times 14 over R. Substitute R equals 11, semicolon, I equals 22 times 14 over 11. I equals 28. So when resistance is 11 ohm, electric current will be 28 amps. Joint variation. Joint variation is a relationship of 3 or more quantities which can be either direct variation or inverse variation. For example, interest varies jointly as capital and time. Electric power varies jointly as electric current and electromotive force. Definition. Let x1, x2, x3 until xn and y represent any quantity. Y varies directly as x1, x2, x3 until xn, which means y varies x1, x2, x3 until xn. This calls y varies jointly as x1, x2, x3 until xn. Example. Write equations of the following equations. 1. Fluid pressure, P, varies directly as depth of fluid, H, and fluid density, D. P varies HD. P equals KHD. Example. In brochure printing, Printing House has cost of 210 baht for 50 brochures and 320 baht for 100 brochures. The cost consists of typeset, which is constant. Another cost is paper and ink cost, which varies directly as numbers of brochures. Find cost of 1,000 brochures. Solution. Given Y representing cost of printing, A representing typeset cost, which is constant, Z representing paper and ink cost, Y equals A plus Z, but Z varies directly as numbers of brochures. Let X be numbers of brochures. Substitute K into 1, we get 210 equals A plus 50, 11 over 5. 210 equals A plus 110, A equals 100. If we want to print 1,000 brochures, then Y equals 100 plus 11 over 5, 1,000 equals 2,300. So printing cost is 2,300 baht. Exercise 2.3. Part 1. Answer the following questions. 1. Write equations of the following variations. 1.1. S varies jointly as square V and R. Answer. 1.2. Q varies directly as P, R squared, and varies inversely as square root of T. Answers.